Right.
Ever since I put batteries in
That's
the
what
pocket,
this is. Okay.
it's taking roast and going back there and changing it all the time.
You put batteries in your door.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all we need.
Maybe.
Patterns.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Okay. We're good, yep.
Call a meeting to order. First thing up is the approval of the February minutes. Everybody's had a chance to read them. Any additions, corrections?
Motion to accept?
A motion to accept, need a second?
Second.
Motion and a second on the minutes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Unfinished business, update on pavilion renovation.
Progress is moving along with the renovation. We're finishing up all the electrical and audio-visual things in the walls. They're looking to do drywall the end of this week or start of next week. The roofers are preparing to put the metal on the lower part of it, at least the flashing and stuff, getting that ready for the siders. The signage is ordered. We've got that approved, so Great Craft will be doing the signage for the Zimmer Biomet Center Lake Pavilion. And they're still doing some of the prepping work for the audio-visual, but it's pretty much taken shape and everybody's on the same page now, so things are moving along well. I wanted to clarify something I said last meeting too. I talked about that small conference room, and it's scheduled to seat up to 40 people is what the small conference room is. The large room is at 224, or you can do a combined maximum of 280 people in the pavilion. When that curtain is up, it allows for 2 more tables to be in there and a max of 35 tables, 35 round tables at 8 chairs per table. So the maximum amount we can get in there is 280. So just wanted to clarify that up. So.
Thank you. Next up, discussion on the pavilion fees.
Yeah, we, last meeting, we talked about looking into this and getting an idea. It's going to take some time to put this in our system, so we want to try to establish these fees. I passed out a little chart that we worked on for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's what we consider the weekend is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is the way we always did it. So we have the large room and the large room and conference room rental on the weekends. The weekday is considered Monday through Thursday, and that is for the conference room all day, the large room, and the conference room, and then, of course, the damage deposit rate. So I'll turn it over to you, Steve, for discussion on that.
Okay, Larry sent out a, I believe a suggested,
Larry.
Larry Ladd, yeah. Excuse me, sent out a suggested rate that he had come up with.
And it's essentially pretty much what Larry passed out. We looked at some of the other venues, and I think that with the quality of what the pavilion is going to be, it's going to be a top-rate facility. And if we look at other venues in the area, there's some that go for $700 a day and even higher. So I don't think we want to cut ourselves short. We want to make it, like Larry said, affordable to our residents. But on the other hand, we don't want to cheapen ourselves either by the quality of the facility. I guess, Joe, you've had seen some comments.
Well, people were commenting that they hoped that they were still going to be able to afford to rent it after we set the prices on it. So that they just you know, hoping that we came up with a fair price.
And comments about whether, you know, is that an inclusive fee of the maintenance and the use of technology and any assistance they need with technology? I mean, it was, some of the comments were pretty detailed. But I think that the rules on the side are kind of apart from actually setting the guidelines for the prices of using the rooms. I don't know. I don't know what others think about that.
When they rent the facility, Larry, will all the technology be available for the
Absolutely.
people that are renting?
Yeah, it's a state-of-the-art system that's being put in there compared to what we had. I mean, we basically had a microphone with some butterfly speakers up in the ceiling back in the day, and they were still there. And this will be a touchscreen system that will have access to allow how much of the system is being used by the renter or the renter wants to use. So, I mean, it may be as basic as you come in and you just want to turn the lights on, you push the button, or if you want to use the audio or visual, you can just push this button, plug it in. It's very simplified. There's some other things we can do on the back side of the thing, but it's nothing that we want to open up to the public because it's very complicated on the back end of it. So there's lighting controls, which is something we never had before. I mean, theatrical lighting, kind of tone lighting, I should say. You know, if you had a wedding or a little dance or something, that you could change the colors of the lights.
And I know
It's-
that there was some question, are we providing training for those, use of those things, or personnel, or what are we providing?
Our staff will be trained by All Pro. So when we rent the facility, we'll go down and walk them through how to use that. But like I say, it's going to be very simple. It's not going to be like you got to turn this on, then this on, then this on, and then do this and do that. It's going to be a touch screen that you push a button, and this is the lights, this is the sound.
So even I could do it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's our understanding, they're gonna have several preset settings in there for popular settings, that it's gonna be just as easy as seeing kind of what you want, and you can touch the button and get it there. Even on the back end, All Pro is gonna be responsible for doing that programming, that's gonna be above our heads as well, so, but that should be open to anybody that's in the building.
Will they be, like if somebody's running the small room and a different group is running the large room at the same time, are there two different sets of audio visual?
Yes, our system is set up to work individually or combined.
Okay.
So if you rent the whole facility, the audiovisual in the small conference room will work simultaneously with the large room. When they're separate rentals and the sound wall is down, they'll work individually.
And do both areas have screens?
No, the large room has 2 projector screens. The conference room has what I want to say.
It's a large smart board, basically.
TV, yes. Yes. But when you're showing something on the projector screen, you have the capability of showing that on the smart board as well if you have the whole facility. Yes. So everywhere you sit in there, you ought to be able to see whatever is on the screen or on the smart board. That was our intention.
And there'll be no overlapping of noise.
According to the architect, that the sound rating of that wall is supposed to, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to drown out every sound that's in the other room, but that they feel comfortable that that sound barrier is good enough to divide the 2 parties. Yes.
When someone, for instance, a wedding party of 200, does the park department then get with those folks how they want tables set up? Is that something that your folks do as far as the tables and chairs, and then the tear down is also?
We had that discussion as a staff today, and what I would like to see happen is when they come and rent the facility, I would like to give them a diagram to allow them to put on the floor plan, the diagram of their setup. and we would like to set that up for them. And I think that would be included in the cost that we're proposing tonight. So I think there's two things that really help with. I mean, if you do it by yourself, we all know that we drag tables across the floor, we throw tables around and chairs around. I was telling Sean back, in the 80s when we had that pavilion redone, we had a standard setup that we would set up the chairs and the tables, and that's the way people rented it. And if they wanted anything different, they would let us know, and we would change it just for that fact that we're not, banging chair carts and table carts in the walls back there. We're not dragging stuff across the floor. So in our discussions, we literally just had this today, we would like to see where the renter comes to us, gets a floor plan, lays out their setup, and our guys, as they clean it for the next event, will set that up to their floor plan.
Do you have any idea what your cost is to set up, tear down, clean up?
That varies by event. If the event isn't, food oriented, or it's just a conference or something like that, typically we have two guys down there for a couple hours. If it's an event that's really messy and dirty and we've got to go through every table and chair, clean the floors thoroughly, and, restrooms, kitchen area, everything like that, it can go 4 hours for two people. So, about $40 an hour for the two individuals. That's kind of what we figure.
And then keep in mind also that happens on the weekends, so there is overtime
Yeah.
if that happens.
Also, we had some discussion about not renting the small conference room on the weekends,
Correct.
unless you're renting
The whole thing.
the big room,
Yes.
which I think makes,
Yeah, we didn't want
that
to.
maybe addresses Diane's question about typically on a weekend, I would assume that's going to be more weddings and somewhat louder gatherings.
Typically it is. Typically on the weekends, it would be a whole use facility.
Yes.
And we didn't want to allow the conference room to be booked all the weekends, and not allow that to be available to people, to have that lake view, for a wedding or anything
Yes.
like that, because that is where the true lake view is in that conference room.
Larry, is when you talked about if it's a really heavy-duty cleanup afterwards and could go for 4 hours or more, does that dig into the damage deposit then? Is that where that additional cleanup time is
Not
kind of funded
necessarily,
through,
just
or no?
if it was really extensive, it could eat into that damage deposit. I have seen that happen in years past, but typically if it's just used and it's just normal cleaning,
Gotcha.
it's not too bad, but if it's excessive, yes, it could eat into that damage deposit.
So basically, it could cost $240 to clean up.
A big event, yes. Or 160, excuse me.
Well, and then
40 times 40.
half-time,
Yeah, if
If
you're
you
doing
go-
weekend.
if you go-
so it's 160 plus 80, so it's
Yeah, but during the week, it's
$240 on a weekend just to clean.
Yeah, say a Saturday night, yeah.
Ready to go back.
Yeah. But I think if you look at the cleaning part of it, and if you look at the utilities, and you look at everything else, we're never going to really recuperate all of our costs down there without being at some of these under venues, $1,000 or $1,500 to rent it. And I think that's the thing we have to weigh is, we want the public to use this facility. It is a great facility that's been here a long time, but we need to set a fair price for people to be able to use it. But yet again, we don't want it so cheap that everybody can use it and abuse it, You want them to be respectable.
It'd be nice if we could kind of sneak that in somehow. Maybe when they go to rent it, you could say, it's this cost, and part of that money is the $240 it's going to cost us to clean it. So
Well, I think
people
that's-
realize that there is a use cost. We're not just taking money to rent out the building, but that we have to pay too. We have to keep the electricity on, we have to clean it.
Well, I think the cost too is associated with, $2.7 million. That's the upgrade that building is getting. And granted, yes, we were lucky enough to have the foundation, Zimmer Biomet Foundation granted 2.5 million of that, but the city still is incurring costs for renovation there and improvements around the facility. So, I mean, to justify any increase, I think that's easily done, you know, without looking at cleanup and utility cost. I mean, just the upgrade of the facility itself will be, you know, a major improvement.
And you have to keep it nice.
Exactly.
I mean, we're not just talking about
Yeah.
the static holding
Yeah.
it. We have
Yeah.
to
Right.
replace things and
Yeah.
upgrade things and.
Yeah, we'll have extensive training on how to keep that up, you know, clean and nice, because it will be a prime facility, for sure.
Any more questions, comments?
Just the window washing's gonna be a joy. I
Yeah,
bet.
yeah. No kidding. Have you had a chance to look over the suggestions here?
They don't have, they have.
Oh, okay. For the, well, I think Larry, didn't you hand some out or send them?
Yes, I think it's almost
Okay.
identical.
Well, we're looking at the large room by itself on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for 500, 600 for both rooms on the weekend,
And that's for the whole day.
for the whole day,
Till midnight.
7 a.m. to midnight.
yeah.
So the hours have not changed. That's currently
Yeah.
what we used to do the pavilion at.
And then the, if
So
we
that gives
go
your
then-
guys from midnight to 7 a.m. to get everything cleaned up for whoever may use it the
Absolutely.
next day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then if we go Monday through Thursday, conference room only for 4 hours, 150. And then on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, conference room only is 250.
That would be a weekday,
I think that's all day.
because we don't do
Weekday,
conference
yeah.
room, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
sorry.
Yeah.
And then the large room
During the week.
during the week is 300. The large room and conference room then would be 450 during the week. Damage deposits, large room and conference room combined 400. Large room only 300. Conference room only 100.
And just to clarify, that damage deposit is any,
Refundable.
anytime, week and week.
Right.
During the
Yes.
week.
Yes. Yes.
And I assume the lease says anything, if like they do more damage, they're still responsible, like if the
Yes.
400 gets covered,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And they have access to the, not the kitchen we talked about, but an area, there's microwaves, I think.
Yeah, there's 3 microwaves in there.
And they'll
There's
have
two
access to all of that,
refrigerators, yes.
In renting.
But no stove.
There's no stove. Yep. It's called a warming kitchen, or caterer's kitchen. And the reason that a full-blown stove and all that wasn't put in there is because to remodel this and do it the way we did it, we would have had to put a hood system in and had that inspected all the time, and they drove the cost up astronomically to do that kitchen.
I think in comparison, in what was provided by other venues, I think it's still really a bargain. Like you said, Larry, we've put almost $3 million, correct?
Yeah.
Into that. The upkeep, the electricity, the fact that the park department is doing the setup, doing the tear down,
Clean up.
the cleanup. I think these figures are pretty reasonable. I don't,
Yeah, the different venues and I read through it at least 3 times trying to find, like I guess, a method to the, you know, a pattern, and it's really just all over the
Yeah.
place.
It
Um,
really is.
It
And of
is.
course, it depends on how nice the venue is too, and we're gonna have a really wonderful venue, a very, you know, the nicest one out there, I think, and so the fact that, I mean, I saw thousands on some of these locations and, you know, minimal on others, so.
Not to mention, there's a nice park right next to it.
Yes,
Right,
the park
And
is
parking.
Yeah, I looked at this, I thought there was a misprint on some of these, but there's not. That's, you're right, there's, some of them are thousands of dollars.
And we need to get this done because there are people calling about wanting to rent, right?
There are, and it takes some
Yes.
time to enter
Yeah.
this into our system, our rental system, and get that all working straight and properly before the project's completed, so.
It's been interesting to see all of the things that have been moved this year to other venues. And I've been to a few of them, and it's like, some of them, there's no parking. Some of them, you know, there's not a big enough room. So you begin to understand how important it is.
Yeah.
There are not really many places in Warsaw to have this kind of space. And
That's
again,
correct.
parking.
Yeah.
Well, and I think these prices are still really reasonable and fair. And now, also, on the small room, we're not talking about doing that for birthday parties and stuff, because we have other places they can rent for that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So anybody have any problems with these, or if not, we need a motion to accept these?
I think that Larry's proposal that he put together is across the board fair and equitable and looks like a good place to start, especially since we're not sure. It was a whole new space
Is that
for
a
us.
motion?
It is a motion. I would move that we approve.
I would
Sorry.
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the new rental rates for the pavilion.
I would just say that I feel comfortable with all what you've discussed as well.
Okay.
I think, I mean, we're within $50 of what I had written down, so
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with it.
Good. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. For in or out.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the update on the park office and maintenance building.
Yeah, last Tuesday, we went through with the contractor and city engineer, and Sean and myself and I went through and did a punch list walkthrough. We had about 102 on the punch list after we got done. They're knocking them out real fast. There were several things, but construction crews are working hard and completing these tasks. Yesterday, all the concrete was done on the outside. The curbings were done, the sidewalk, the curbing for the ADA parking spot, the concrete approach into our parking lot was poured. Today, they were putting the letters on the building. They've got everything done but our logo underneath on the south side, so when that's up there, that'll really set it off. They did get the metal for the inside. They were waiting on some metal to cover the plywood on the inside, the first bay there. That's done. They had a few things that touch-up paint here and there, wall covers. They had to move an outlet for one of the microwaves to put it up above so the microwave would slide back in farther. But all in all, it's coming together. I think office furniture is scheduled to be delivered this week, so we're still hoping that maybe by the end of the month, we can move the offices over there. So it's very exciting. I mean, we've been waiting for this for 3 years, and we're counting the days. Suzanne put her little thing, ring up thing, and she tears one down every day, and she's ready to go as well, so, yeah.
I've heard good things from people in the community. They think that it looks very nice, and that was they felt it was a good place to put it, and so.
Wonderful. It's good to hear.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, maintenance report.
Yeah, power install is complete at the campgrounds. We repaired some cedar siding on the buildings out there at the campgrounds. When the weather gets warm, we're gonna restain the buildings out there as well. We brought in millings to all the campsites, leveled them off. We started rolling the campgrounds today, in preparation for spring. It'll be here before we know it, the opening of it. See, we removed 2 hazardous trees in the tree row. I have pictures of them. They were obviously dead and dropping limbs, and we wanted to prevent any hazards from dropping on campers there. We got them out of the way. We are planning on replacing them. Obviously, it'll be smaller trees for the time being, but they will be replaced in the same spots. We also, while we were doing that, we went around and trimmed other trees along the tree row there and then in other parks as well. Any obvious hazards that we could identify, we went ahead and got them out of the trees. We replaced lawn edging in Central Park, almost every flower bed in the park. Gosh, it's probably been 12, 15 years since we went through and did it last time. It was just time for a fresh look on those. So we went around, did that. We took down all of the signage in Central Park, all the old wood and cedar signs. Currently going through and repainting them. We've got most of them done. We've started putting them back out right now. We have a few more to wrap up and we'll have that ready to go. Wrapped up irrigation repairs today from our tree replacement. We had a few broken lines, which we knew were going to happen. It actually worked out for us because the way the new trees line up in the old pine mound, we had to reconfigure our irrigation heads there anyways. So it was kind of an easy fix for us. We replaced several boards along the Buyer Farm Trail, several footboards throughout, and then also we replaced a lot at the actual lookout that had been vandalized and carved in over the years. It had built up over the years, and then finally there was some profanity type stuff going on, so we decided to go ahead and just replace them with fresh boards. We have blown and picked leaves at Lucerne Park again this spring. It's fresh and clean looking. And there's been a ton of people playing disc golf out there with the fresh grass. It's nice. One last thing, almost all park employees have been CPR certified recently. So yeah, it'd be nice if we see somebody that needs help out in the park. Hopefully we can lend a hand.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. That's true. All right, thank you. Next up, recreation report.
Okay, so we've had a busy month of March already. On March 7th, we had Imagination Station, and we had 41 participants between the in-person and take-home kits. And then on March 10th, we had our watercolor class with Terry Armstrong, which that class completely sold out. And Diane got to come and paint with us to see what those classes look like. Everyone...
I paid just like everybody else.
She did, she paid. And it's just fun to see what everyone's paintings look like when they're done, because everyone's look totally different. That's part of why I like working at those classes. So right now we are taking registrations for the Easter basket take-home kits. That basket has several items in it, including like a ceramic bunny piece, paint, a paintbrush, small stuffed animal, chalk, bubbles, just different things that you would find in an Easter basket. That registration ends on March 28th at 4 p.m. We are also taking registrations for our April 5th ceramic and popcorn event, which will be held in the gymnasium at the Pete Thorne Center. That ends on March 31st at 4 p.m. And there's several prices for those pieces. And I think right now we're about halfway sold out. So you can come and paint for like from $2 to $8. Something, to offer to kids on spring break. We felt like that would be fun to get kids involved with that. And the biggest registration I feel like coming up is for our Mommy and Son dance, which that dance is on Friday, May 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. The registration is from April 3rd through the 28th, and we are going to allow 100 participants to sign up and join us for that dance. And each participant would pay $20 to come enjoy a night together. We're also working really hard on this summer, everything coming up. And Heather and I have everything planned, organized, and put together already. And today I started working on things for October, November, and December. So, moving right along.
And when do you announce the big bands this summer?
April 3rd,
Okay.
just
All right,
a few
looking-
more days.
Looking forward to it. Big
So-
day every year.
Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Other matters, recognition of employees.
Yeah, so we started a new program called Team Member of the Month. You know, we've been through some leadership classes, and this has came out of that, so it's our Team Member of the Month. This award goes to someone who has shown improvement to the quality of our team, has improved communication within our team, and has shown skills to better our team. You know, since we didn't have one in January, I handed out two. The recipients were Adam Howard and Travis Thomas, voted by their peers. It's something we do the first of the month. We actually sit everybody down and we have them vote which peer they think should be the team member of the month. And we ask them to write down why or what they have did to earn that team membership. So team member of the month. So I'd just like to thank Travis and Adam for being the first recipients of this, and we're going to continue it all year long. So
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. Well, tell them congratulations from the
Absolutely.
board.
Absolutely. And the other thing I have is we're still, lifeguards are going well. I think we're going to have a full staff of lifeguards. We may be only guarding one lake, depending on the construction. We had a construction meeting today, and that may interfere with some of it if it goes through, but we still need a few on the maintenance side, 2 or 3 on the maintenance side, and 2 or 3 on the rec side. So we're still needing some seasonal help at those areas. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, meeting review. Well, I think the big thing today was getting our rates set so we can start actually renting out the pavilion for later in the year. What are you looking at? Probably mid-September at least?
The completion is in August.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we want to make sure that completion date is achieved
Yeah.
before we start renting it out and promising it. So, you know, I think that'll come along as we get to the June, July, right in there and see how things are progressing and make sure they're going to meet that deadline in August. And then we'll, as soon as we're confident of that, we'll open it up to the public to start renting.
Okay. All right. Nobody has anything else? Need a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, you.
Thank you.
Did you want this?